Thank you all so much for stopping by today. So I'm on my way in the house because I want to share with you one plant that I've grown before in the garden and I've put here and there over years. But this particular plant, I did a little bit of research on, and this plant is going to serve as a defender for me this year. So I'm out here just kind of going over some of the things that I really need to do. I need to do some pruning, but one of the things that I'm going to put on my list to do is prune the roses back. We're supposed to get some more cold weather, some more snow is in the forecast, but I want to share with you why I'm going to plant so many, why I had such an issue with my roses last year. So let's go ahead and let's get started. So we're going on year 2 in the Atlanta area, and one of the things that I really wanted to do was start a rose garden. Now it's winter time and I know everything looks very bare, but give it a few years and this space is really going to come together. We've planted out some roses. I still have some more to plant in the spring. I really need to come in and line up my rose. And then I also have 2 more rose purchases that I have to do because I want some climbing rose for the entrance of the garden. And I've shared little snippets with you, but just make sure you hit the subscribe button because I really want to carry y'all along, because I know this is really going to be a beautiful space once we are done, once we have everything lined off, and once everything is growing. Now, I'm also going to link the video from last year where we bought a lot of David Austin roses. Now, not all of these are David Austin roses, because as I was out and about when I went to visit my sister, I picked up a few more roses, but I still have about 9 more to get planted. But everywhere that I've stayed in the world, different areas, different environments have its challenges, but this was one that I was not expecting at all. This is one of the areas where we first planted the roses once we got them in, and they really took off. And to be honest, y'all, with all of the roses that we bought, only 2 did not make it. But what I do like about David Austin roses is they do offer a 5-year warranty. And so when it's time for it to ship for my zone, which I think they said in February, they're sending out replacements. But again, every environment, everywhere we've stayed, they have their challenges. I can remember Savannah, it was the slugs, the snails, and the leaf-footed bugs. When I moved here, what I didn't expect were the Japanese beetles. And the reason why I have to get this under control is because these rose petals we use a lot in our herbal teas. And so I wasn't able to harvest the roses really until the fall time. In the springtime, the Japanese beetles were very, very disrespectful. So I had to do a lot of research. Now I have been feeding the lawn with milky spores, and I got to do one more application, hopefully to try to decrease what I had to deal with last year, because I literally was coming out every day with a cup of soapy water, knocking them in there, and they were in droves on the roses, so much so that a lot of them were not even, like, you couldn't even harvest them because they were that far gone, and they move really quick. So with all that said, and all of the research that I've done, it's one plant that's going to go here, and it's going to go all around the garden to try to help combat in a natural way the Japanese beetles. So let's go inside. Let me show you what I'm about to plant. Also, like I said, I go out in spurts. You still need a jacket or something on, but I'm like, okay, we'll go out right before it gets dark, because I'm really thinking about, I've been potting up my herbs. So I'm really thinking about, before the cold weather hits again, just go ahead and do one more pot up. But let's get back to what's at hand. So I want to go ahead and get these started now. But remember, y'all, when I say that when you start seeds indoors, you really need to have a plan as far as what container that you're going to put them in. Every time I've grown these plants from seed, they have almost 100% germination. And then I am just trying to pot them up, but I also don't want them to really flower while they're inside. So what we're going to plant to try to combat these Japanese beetles that seem to be the issue here in this area are geraniums. So we've planted geraniums before, but I'm going to plant some red geraniums to put right in front of the workshop. But then I also have some pink geraniums as well. And the reason why I am planting these geraniums for the Japanese beetle is because after doing some research, the geraniums contain a compound that when the Japanese beetles try to eat the leaves, they roll over on their backs and they're done with. Okay, so I am going to test this out. Again, I'm going to put some milky spores down in the lawn as well. I've already done 2 applications of it. I'm going to do 1 more, so just in case, it may be a few more that's left in the ground, because they go through a whole life cycle, y'all. And so I know that we had Japanese beetles in savannah because we had the grubs, and that's one portion of the life cycle. Like, the grubs eventually turned into the Japanese beetles, but we did not have half of what I seen this last gardening season. I was like, what in the world? And it's also good to go to your local agriculture extension office, because when I was at the garden center, some of the master gardeners were out there and I was telling them about this area. And one of the men definitely advised, don't get the Japanese beetle traps that they sell like at the garden centers and big box stores, because that scent can draw them from all over. So you don't want to. He was just saying, like, yeah, it'll go, but you're going to have like so many of them. He didn't tell me about the geraniums. That's just some research that I did myself, because I was getting so frustrated because I wanted to harvest those roses. And it was like the next morning when I came out, they were just like all over. Like, you could I was literally knocking them in the cup of soapy water, like, all day long. So we're going to do the geraniums, but while I'm also planting, I also am going to plant some alyssum, because that smells so good. So we grew that in those containers by the workshop as well. And just like when the breeze of the trees would come by, it was an amazing scent. So we're doing the alyssum, but we're doing red, but we're also going to do the pink geraniums. Now, I'm not sure. I didn't dig that deep to see if the color would, be like, is one color more effective than the other one? Because I've always grown like some traditional red geraniums, but then once they started coming out with colors like the salmon color and the rose color, I would add those into like a lot of our container gardens as well. So this gardening season, we're going to have geraniums everywhere, all over the garden, because we need to combat these Japanese beetles. And we need to do this because we need our rose petals, because last year we offered our new herbal tea, Unplug and Unwind, and rose petals is part of the herbal blend. And so I don't want to wait till fall again to be able to harvest good, healthy rose petals. I want to do it in the spring as well. So that is what we're going to do. Make sure you hit the subscribe button so that you can see the growth of the geraniums, so that you can see the rose garden come to life, and so that we can have a good gardening growing season. So as always, thank you all so much for watching this video. Make sure you share this video with your family and your friends. And if you're not a subscriber, go ahead, tap the subscribe button. Make sure you tap the bell so that you can receive notification each and every time we upload a new video. Again, thank you all so much for watching. And until the next video, bye-bye.